You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Do you find pricing your services or setting your rates to be the number one hardest, maybe most frustrating thing that you have to do in your business, where no matter how long you spend on it, you still don't seem to get to the right number? Something that you're really happy with, something that you love to put out there because you know that it's a great price, you know that it's that value, and you're also super happy to be selling it at that price. Well, if that sounds a bit like you, and trust me, you're not alone if you're thinking, yep, that's pretty much me every time, then today's episode is just for you. We're going to explore the number one question that I say is the worst question you could possibly ask when you're looking to set your rates. And it's one that 99.9% of people are asking themselves. So let's dive into it, because I'm going to share with you why this question is not effective, what you should look at instead, how you should think about your pricing instead, and probably a better question that you can ask yourself when you're setting your rates. Okay, stay tuned because it's coming right up.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And the number one worst question that you could possibly ask when you're trying to set your rates. Now, what is this question, and why is it the worst question that you could be asking? The reason for this episode, and I'm going to backtrack here for 2 seconds to give you the background, is because this is the question that everybody asks. This is where so many people are getting stuck. They're spending all of their time battling with the answer to this question. By the end of this episode, hopefully you will understand why it's not the best question to ask. In fact, I would say it is the worst question you could possibly ask, because it's leading you down the wrong path, or the path that's probably not getting you the best outcome. You know, I love to say there's no real right or wrong way to do anything, but there's definitely ways that are more effective than others. And when we're coming to pricing our services, this is one of the most important things that you could do in your business, because a business is a business because it's here to make profit. Now, a business that's not making profit is it really a business? It's maybe a hobby, and sometimes an expensive hobby. So yes, even if we feel like, oh gosh, asking people for money or earning money might feel a little bit awkward, maybe uncomfortable. The downside is that we are here to make profit in a business. And the wonderful thing about having a business that's profitable, means that you can invest back into your business. You can invest in things that are going to help you to serve even more people, that are going to help you to make the business what you would really like it. And, it's actually part of the economy as well. The more that you're buying things to help you in your business, the more people who you're hiring that serve within your business, the more you're injecting back into the digital economy, which we're all in. So, it's not about you saying, how can I be more profitable? And, oh, that's greedy and all of these things. Absolutely not. It's not about that at all. We're about having a smart business. And for me, a smart business means one that can be profitable without me working my tail off, without me working 50, 60 hours a week. I want to be working 15 to 20 hours a week, probably at a max. Like, I love my work. I love coaching. I love serving people, and, really in it. So of course I want to be doing some work, but I want a very flexible business. And that means for me that, yes, I need to be profitable in those hours, because I want to be able to hire the help that gives me that freedom, gives me the flexibility, I want the best systems that also help me automate my business. So I'm not spending time doing things that I don't need to be doing. I want to be in the zone where I do what I do best and I'm really enjoying my business. So that brings me to the question. You're probably sitting there thinking, get on with it, Jess. Hurry up. I've gone off down a tangent. Okay, I'm coming back. What is this question? That is so terrible. Here it is. How much will someone pay for this? Now you're sitting there thinking, yep, what's so bad about that? That's a question I ask every time I do my pricing. Yeah, it's probably the number one question that everybody asks because it's natural. You've probably come up with a service and then you're putting a price on it. Here's why I say this is the worst question that you could be asking. First of all, when we're pricing services, nothing is finite. We're not adding up the cost of nuts and bolts and putting a price margin on it and saying that's the price. It's a service. It's something that's defined by you, and you can define it in any way you want to, which means that the price, whatever it is that you're trying to price, guess what? The thing that you're pricing, you can adjust it. It is something that is a very non-nuts and boltsy. Is that even a word? It's non-nuts and boltsy, which is a great thing. It means that the price can be whatever you really want it to be. Now, I know that you're sitting there thinking, well, how can it? Because what if people don't buy? Well, when you look around, here is what I want you to do is just take a moment and look out there at what you buy, the services that you buy as a business owner. Not things like stationery and books and stuff like that. Let's look at the services, and I guarantee you there is a huge range. There are a huge range of services that you particularly personally buy, and out there in the market, all the ones that you don't buy, there's obviously an even bigger range. So any one service that you buy, you could go and find people who are charging, really, really low rates up to people who are charging absolute premium. You might be buying somewhere in the middle range there. You're probably not going for the lowest of the low, and you're probably not at the top of the top either. That's okay. We are where we are, and we get drawn to those others who are serving us at the level that we're at right now. And of course, this always changes as well. So my point there is there is no one rate for a service. There's no one rate for what you are offering. And what this leads to when we ask this question, what is someone willing to pay for it? Well, we all want to pay what we feel is a good deal, as little as possible, but we're happy to pay for the quality. So again, as little as possible. Well, what is that? There is no one number. It doesn't matter what it is that you're selling. There is no one number, because we all have a perspective on the quality and on what's important to us in the service offering. What is it that we want aside from that outcome? Do we want it fast? Do we want it done really well? Do we want it, obviously the third option there on that triangle, you've probably heard this before. There's three things and you can only ever have two: fast, good, and cheap. So when we take price out of it, which is the other one that we really want? Do we want the quality? Do we want the speed? Maybe we want both. And that means it's definitely not going to be cheap. And everybody knows that. We all have probably a range that we're feeling like this is around the range that I'm buying in. And most of us aren't thinking it's down at the bottom end of the market. Do you know why? Because we don't have any trust that it's going to be any good. We think, well, we might spend some money there, but it's probably not going to be any good, and that's just going to waste my time, and we'll come back again. So usually we're somewhere sitting in the middle. Some might be low middle, some might be middle, some might be high middle. So this is why this question is really ineffective, because who's willing to pay it, and how much is someone willing to pay it? Well, it depends. It depends on them. It depends on where they're at. It depends on whether they're the right customer for you. And it also depends on the value that they're perceiving in it. So this question, why it is not good to ask, is because what I see happening over and over again, and we're doing a lot of pricing work right now in Business Jam with the current group of VIPs. We're in sort of around week 4, week 5 of our coaching. And we're really getting into our service packaging and pricing, because this is the thing. This is the thing that makes your business a business. So it's super important, much more important than the marketing activities, which we get into once we have the end game decided, what it is that we're actually selling to them. Now, we spend the time here because getting your pricing right is really important. And what this question means when we ask, what is someone willing to pay for this? It sends us down the pathway of looking at what others are charging, trying to compare and position yourself against others, and usually feeling like you need to drop your prices or drop your expectations and rates. And what happens when we end up down that bottom end of your market, bottom end of that value, is it leads to resentment. It leads to you not being in love with your service, with your offer. Now, can you imagine somebody inquires to you and you give them a price that you think is what they want to pay, but it's not really what you want to be charging. It's just what you think they're going to say yes to. Now, after the initial, yay, they bought, and then you're doing the delivery, but you're getting less than what you wanted. Just think for a moment, how does that make you feel when you know that what you're offering is worth more? When you know that your time is worth more, you know that the value the client is getting is incredibly more than that. And you probably also know there are others out there in your market charging more than you. Well, this is what tends to happen. We get into this place where, yes, we're starting to feel resentment. We're also starting to feel like we don't want to put too much effort in because we've priced it so low that we haven't allowed for time, additional time to spend with those clients, because we need to be spending that time on other ones and getting more revenue from them so that we can hit our very modest revenue goals. Now, can you imagine when you have that perspective with who it is that you're working with, a client, and thinking, well, I don't want to, spend a long time answering this email because I'm not charging them enough to spend long on it. But you also know that by giving them an answer and giving them that detail is what they need to get the outcome that they're seeking. And when you look at that for a moment, you can see that it's doing nobody a favor there. The client's not getting the service that they need at the level they need, unless you're then doing it and completely undercutting yourself even further. And you're feeling resentment because you're spending longer, you're trying to hold back because of the low rate that you've charged. You're feeling resentment about this service offering, not resentment to the client, like it's not their fault. They didn't set the price. They just said yes to what you set. But you're feeling resentment about the fact that you're delivering this service and that it's way below what it should be. Now, this is a place where, as you can imagine, if you're there and you stay there, it's a place that leads you to nowhere when not being profitable, because you've got to compromise, like whether you give a good service or you stick to what you price the rate. When you know that you can give more, when you know that the value's there to have more, why would you not want to be offering the service at the level that your clients would appreciate, the level that they want? And this is really what it comes down to, is maybe you needing to think about, well, how do I communicate the value of what it is that I'm offering so that I can price it at the rates that I know it's worth, at the rate that it's 100%. I'm thrilled to be offering this service. I'm thrilled to give this support. I'm not watching the minutes. I'm not watching the clock. I'm not thinking, oh, I've given too much here for what I've charged. Really want to get out of that place and into a place where you're feeling like you're giving your absolute best value. You know that you couldn't have done any more for that client. You're really happy with what you've provided. And they, in turn, can you imagine, if you've done all of that, they're going to be incredibly happy with what you're providing. There's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no resentment there. Everybody is happy. So it's a better win-win for everybody when you actually price your services properly, when you price them appropriately for what it is that you're giving, what you're providing, what you're serving them with. Now, the other reason why this question, anytime someone asks it in my client groups, I'm like, wow, let's look at this a different way. When you ask, what is someone willing to pay for it? The other way people ask this is they ask others in their space. They kind of go out and crowdsource pricing from peers, colleagues, maybe in a Facebook group, maybe people who are in a program with you. And there's all sorts of ways that, and you'll know if you're someone who's doing this or is in that environment where you're all similar, you're offering a similar type of service, and you're basically asking other people to help you set your price. Can you imagine asking someone else to tell you what they think you're worth, what they think your service is worth, or what they would charge it at? Why is it relevant at all what someone else is going to charge their service at? If they were doing it, what would they charge? You and them are not the same. You're not bringing to it the same background. You're not bringing to this project, to this client, the same expertise. You're not bringing to it the same values or really anything that's the same. So why on earth would we be wanting to find out what someone else would charge, what someone else would put a price on for them? Because have you ever thought, well, what if that person has money blocks, limitations on their perception of what things are worth? What if that person has completely different circumstances to you? What if they have half the experience that you have, or even less? What if a million different things that, when you're pricing your service, the only person who can set the rates at the right place is you, because you're the only one who knows what you're happy to be paid for doing that work. And there will always be somebody out there who is at that level, who's at the right level for you. And it's about, now we're getting into, your niche and your client alignment. It's about getting aligned to the right people, because there's always going to be someone who thinks your price is too expensive. It doesn't even matter how low you go. You can be right down at the bottom of the market, the cheapest possible, and there'll be still somebody who thinks that's too expensive. So we can just forget this, I need to be affordable to everybody. You are, because there's a huge range of people. There are people who pay a huge, high amount for all sorts of things. Think about handbags, for example. You could go out and buy a handbag from a market, from someone who's handmade a leather handbag for you. You could go and buy one from a department store, like a fake leather one that might be cheap. You could go overseas, go to places that do designer bags, but they're not the real designer ones, and they cost a fraction of the price. Then you could go out and buy a designer bag from the real designer store. The thing is that the prices are so different, yet what you're getting at the end of the bag, there are some differences there, but there's also a lot that's the same. It's serving the same purpose. There's difference in quality, yes. There's difference in workmanship, yes. There's a lot of difference there. And that's why price is not the deciding factor. That's why it doesn't help you when you're offering a service to go and base your pricing off of what someone else is charging. Or ask, what would someone be willing to pay for this? Which is essentially, again, looking out there thinking, well, what are other people charging? That's what people are willing to pay. You will find your people. It's about being in alignment, and setting your rates at the right rate for you helps you to be in alignment for the right clients. Actually helps you attract the right ones in, and it helps those ones who are not right for you self-select out. And this is how you come to the right pricing. Now, there is, of course, more that can go into this. There are ways that you can structure your pricing. There are strategies about how you present your pricing. There's a lot that comes into helping you to not only set the right price, but be able to communicate to your clients what the value is, so that they understand it and they believe in it and they're willing to pay what it is that you're asking. It's about finding that great alignment. I'm not saying go out there and just charge something astronomical that what you're offering isn't worth it. That's probably not going to end up very well for you either. We want to be charging the right amount for you, the right amount for where you're at, for your clients. And most people that I've come across in my business journey as a coach, as a mentor, most women especially are pricing themselves low. They're really underestimating their value to a huge degree. And a lot of that is based on what they're seeing out there with others. So, hey, if everybody's out there underpricing and that's what you're basing your pricing off, then of course you are going to be as well. It's really the moment that you can step away from what you're seeing out there and really look at your pricing and do your strategy based on your business, yourself, your services, and get that in alignment, then that's where you find the sweet spot for you. You find the growth, you find the right clients. And the number of times I've helped somebody to change their pricing, package their pricing to the right place for them, and then they find how easy it is to win clients. It's incredible, because that's probably the number one fear that they have is, oh, if I raise my prices, nobody's going to buy that, I won't get any clients and then it'll be a disaster. But the thing is that when you're in alignment, when your pricing is aligned to your service, to your offer, and to the right clients, it's actually easier to sell. You don't have the trouble that you may have been having beforehand when you're out of alignment. When you're offering something of far too high a value for a low price, well, people don't trust it. If you're offering something of low value for a high price, again, probably people won't buy it. It's about getting that sweet spot for you. And yes, there is a whole series of questions and strategies that you can use in defining what it is. But more importantly, it's about how you communicate that value to your clients. So I hope that that's been really helpful for you today. I hope that you've understood why asking what will someone pay for this is the worst question that you could possibly ask. Please do not ask it again. If it comes into your head, remember this episode and say, that's right, I'm not going to ask that. I'm going to ask a different question instead. What would I like to be paid for this service? What do I feel it's worth? That is a far more effective question, because at least we're starting off with where you're going to feel valued and worthy, and happy. No resentment there. Let's start there. And then you can bring in some of the other strategies to help you find the right pricing for you. Okay, I will speak to you next week. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you are interested in learning a bit more about pricing, then I have got resources on my website, including a masterclass called Pricing with Poise. This is where I share the pricing strategies and how to price your services, and also how to present them. So how to present that pricing with the value that you're trying to communicate. Actually, how to communicate the value. We're not buying services based off what's included in your features. We're actually buying them based off the outcome that we're getting and the perception of value and quality that we're getting from that service is far more about what we're choosing, whether we're going to say yes or no based on. So this Pricing with Poise masterclass gives you those strategies so that you can look at your pricing and figure out how to be more profitable, firstly, how to communicate the value, and how to present your pricing so that you get your clients to choose the one that you want to be selling and not just choose the cheapest. That's all in there. And if you join before the 19th of July, I'm actually running a live workshop inside Pricing with Poise, where we're joining together with my Business Jam members. We're doing a big pricing workshop where we're going to deep dive into your pricing, workshop it together, be able to get coached, ask questions, all of the things that you are finding difficult in your industry that are preventing you from being able to price it at the level you're at. Well, this workshop is where you can get my help to really nail that. So I invite you to have a look at Pricing with Poise. If you join now, you can get into it immediately, start doing the online worksheets and working on your pricing, and then come to the live workshop on the 19th of July, which is coming up really, really soon. You will find Pricing with Poise at jessicaosborne.com/pricing. I've also linked it up in the show notes for you, so it just makes it really easy for you to get through there to see this masterclass and to get on board with it. Okay, that's it from me. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Do you get your knickers in a knot every time it comes to pricing your services? Maybe you know that you're undercharging. You know that you could be charging more, and you really feel like what you're offering has so much more value, but you're constrained by a competitive market, or you're just not sure that if you raise your rates, maybe you're scared that somebody won't buy and then you'll end up with no clients, and oh my God, what will happen then? Pricing has to be one of the hardest things that any business owner has to do. And it's because it's completely subjective, right? You can set your price at almost anything. And that's why most of us find ourselves pricing based on what other people are doing. But that means you end up in a place where you're competing on price. You're pricing yourself in a market against other people. And who wins in that situation? Well, guess who? The client, 100% of the time. So that's not what we want to be doing. You want to be setting your prices confidently, not undercutting yourself, and actually being paid properly for your services. So how do we do that? Well, there is a way that you can learn how to do pricing, how to get your expertise and knowledge priced in services that also mean you're not constantly marketing and selling. You want to be spending more of your time earning the money as opposed to trying really hard to bring it in and sell something to somebody who's not really that keen to buy it. Pricing is a really important part of your marketing strategy, and it helps you to get the right clients. So yes, this is something that we definitely need to do and need to get it right. When we've got it right, wow, it feels so easy. Imagine being able to confidently tell people your price. Imagine having them just say yes straight away, no negotiation, no brainer, and it's actually what you want to be being paid. How much easier would your business feel then? Right? So the good news is that I'm running a live workshop as part of my Pricing with Poise online course. This is a mini course. We'll call it a mini course because really it's not a huge big course. Like as opposed to my main program, Business Jam, that is a big strategic program. Pricing with Poise Masterclass is something that you can do in the space of a weekend. You know, you can really knuckle down, get it done, and get your pricing done. And for everybody who's enrolled in Pricing with Poise, this month I'm running a live workshop. So you're going to be able to join me online and bring all of your questions, bring the things that you're struggling with your pricing. How do you put this package together? How should you set your pricing? Maybe how do you price your different services so that you're getting people to buy the one that you really want them to buy instead of just choosing the cheapest one or something that's based on price. We will cover all of that and more so that you leave it clear and confident about your pricing and profitable as well, because that's what we're here for. This is what business is all about. It's about you being profitable so that you can put that money back into whatever it is that you would love to invest in, donate to, or support with your life and your lifestyle. Head to jessicaosborne.com/pricing to find out all the information about Pricing with Poise. You can dive right in today, get a head start on the online content, go through the pricing strategy, worksheets that I've got for you, go through the short videos explaining how it works, start that work, and then join me for the live workshop on the 19th of July. It's going to be loads of fun. You'll be able to get live coaching, you'll be able to get your questions answered, and yes, there will be a replay and recording that will be available to you inside your program, Pricing with Poise, that you also have lifetime access to. So what's not to like about that? Head over to jessicaosborne.com/pricing right now. Get yourself enrolled, and I'll see you online by the end of the month. Oh, and one more thing. I've just decided, because it's the start of a new financial year here in Australia, that I will go 50-50 with you on this workshop. So if you put in the code 50 into the checkout for Pricing with Poise, then you'll get 50% off the already reduced rate. So this is a very limited time. It's only happening until this live workshop. You can get the 50% off just for the next week, and then it's over. Then you can join Pricing with Poise at the normal price of $397 after that. But just for the next week, you'll be getting it for $97. That is 75% off. That's ridiculous. Crazy. Let's do this. I can't wait to see you there, and we'll do it. Okay.